That night, they drove back to Lagos in silence. The car headlights cut through the darkness, but no one spoke a word. Each man held tightly to his small parcel, the key to a future they had been told would change everything. When they reached home, Collins reminded them again. No mistakes. Do exactly as Baba talk. On the third night, your story could change forever. And with that, he drove away. The first day came. Peter, James, and John each did as they were told, quietly, following every instruction. The second day came. Nothing happened. They laughed among themselves, trying to act brave. Peter said, "Maybe not joke, Abi. I not see any change." John, the one with the strongest heart, said, "Calm down. Baba talk say 3 days. Make we wait." Something about this whole thing no sits well for my spirit. But as usual, they laughed it off. The third night arrived, dark, heavy, and strangely silent. At exactly midnight, the city seemed to hold its breath. Then suddenly, a strange wind swept through their rooms. Their bodies grew weak, their eyes heavy. It was as if sleep and shadow had become one. And then, everything changed. They could no longer see themselves as men. They were no longer who they had been. Their voices echoed differently, their reflections gone. They had become like air, unseen, untouchable, lost between worlds. It was then they realized they were no longer human. The days that followed were nothing like they expected. They could see people, but people couldn't see them. They could walk, but not touch. They could cry, but not be heard. For 7 days, they wandered, empty, afraid, and unseen. And then, when the 7th night came, they felt a strange pull, a force drawing them back to where it all began. They knew it was time to return to the old man, as he had instructed. But none of them could tell what awaited them on the other side. As the strange wind carried them back towards the old man's compound, Peter, James, and John felt both fear and relief. They believed that once Baba saw them again, he would restore them to who they were and fulfill his promise of wealth. But when they reached the place, the quiet house deep inside the forest path of Ijebu-Ode, everything was different. The walls were cracked. The symbols that once glowed faintly on the doorway had faded, leaving only dust and silence. Peter was calling, "Baba, Baba, we don't come. You say make we return." John said in fear, "Baba, abeg, answer us. We don't do everything you talk." Only echoes replied. No footsteps, no voice, just the night wind whispering through the trees. A deep chill settled over them. Then James noticed it first, his hands beginning to lose color, his body lighter than air. James, trembling, said, "Something they happened to me. I know they feel myself again." Peter looked at his own reflection in a small puddle nearby, but saw nothing. They were fading. Baba had warned them, without the final step, they could not return fully to the world of the living. Their time was running out. Days passed, though they no longer knew how to count them. They could walk through the streets of Lagos unseen, hearing the world they once belonged to, but unable to touch it. They saw Mama Buka sweeping her shop one morning, calling their names, wondering why they hadn't come in days. They tried to speak, but no sound came. Each hour that passed drained a little more of their essence. It was as if life itself was slipping from them, drop by drop. James wept. "I just want to see my mama again, even if now once." Before the day of the transformation, James couldn't sleep. The promise of sudden wealth echoed in his mind, but so did his mother's voice, the one that always told him, "My son, no shortcut lasts forever. Anything that comes too quick, go too quick." He tried to dismiss the thought, but it lingered. That night, as the others joked about what cars they would buy and which estate they would move to, James quietly sat in one corner, sunk in thoughts. He stared at the phone for a long time. His hand trembled. James whispered, "What if we are making a mistake?" But Peter laughed and said, "My brother, forget that thing now. You think person they make money with fear? Look at how Colin's life changed overnight. This now our own turn." John nodded in agreement, his eyes glittering with desperation. "You go still thank me later. When we go start to count millions, all this your fear go disappear." James wanted to believe them. He really did. But deep down, something didn't feel right. He quickly typed a short message to his mother to be sent in 7 days' time. The message reads, "Call me, but if my number is unavailable, call Mr. Collins 080-33333-4550. He knows where I am." When James said that message, his hands were shaking. It wasn't because he didn't trust his friends. He just didn't trust the path they had chosen. Something inside him whispered that there was danger ahead, but he didn't know how or when. After typing the message, he looked at the screen one last time, sighed deeply, and pressed schedule. James said quietly, "If anything happens, at least Mama go know where to start from." He placed the phone in his pocket, not knowing that those few seconds would later become the only thread connecting them to the world they were about to lose. Days turned to nights, and nights to days. They wandered starving, helpless, unseen. Their voices no longer carried through the air. By the third day, James's strength was failing. Somewhere far away in the village, his mother's old Nokia phone beeped. It was a message. She picked it up, frowning at the unknown message that had just arrived from her son. "Call me, but if my phone is unavailable, call Mr. Collins. He knows where I am." Her heart sunk. She didn't wait a second. She dialed the number. But Collins didn't pick up. She tried again. The third time, someone answered. A tired voice spoke. "Who is this?" "Is Mama James. Please, I'm looking for my son James. He said you know where he is." There was a pause. Long, cold, heavy. Then the voice changed. Low and shaky. "Mama, forget about James. Forget about all of us." And the line went dead. When the line went dead, Mama James sat in silence, clutching her phone tightly, as if she could pull her son's voice back from the other end. Her heartbeat raced. The night was too quiet, the kind of quiet that carried bad news before it arrived. She tried calling again. No response. That was when she rose from her chair, tied her headscarf tighter, and made the decision any mother would have to make. By morning, she went straight to the nearest police station. Her voice shook as she explained everything. The message, the strange number, the call that ended in fear. The officers listened carefully. When they tracked the number, it led to a small lodge in Surulere. They moved quickly. Hours later, Collins was found there, pale, trembling, as if he hadn't slept in days. At first, he denied knowing James, but when they showed him the message and pressed harder, his face fell. Tears gathered in his eyes. "Mama, I swear, I didn't mean for it to end this way. They just wanted money. I thought I could help them make it too." The officers leaned closer. "Where are they now?" Collins looked down. "If they haven't come back by now, they may never come back." The room went silent. Then with a trembling voice, he told the whole story. How he had taken Peter, James, and John to Ijebu-Ode, how Baba had promised wealth in exchange for a simple cleansing, and how he himself had been in their shoes. But what no one knew was that Baba had died barely 2 days after the three boys disappeared. So, there's no one to undo what he had done. When Mama James heard that, she almost collapsed. But the police encouraged her to stay strong. So together, Collins, Mama James, her two brothers, and two officers, they made the long trip to Ijebu-Ode. After several hours of driving through dusty roads and quiet farmlands, they finally reached the spot. It was empty. Broken walls, falling leaves, and silence. The kind that felt heavier than words. "Is this the place?" asked one of the officers. "Yes, sir. This is where it happened," answered Collins. They searched the compound from corner to corner, but found nothing except an old clay pot and ashes cold as stone. Just as they were about to leave, an old woman from the nearby village came out of the bush path. Her eyes were sharp and old, like she had seen too much. "Una dey find the man wey live here before?" They nodded quickly. "He don die about 1 week now, but he get pikin. The boy dey Oshogbu. He dey do the same work like him papa." Mama James's eyes widened. "Please, Mama, do you know how we can reach him?" The old woman went further in giving them the directions. The police made contact with the son through local informants. 2 days later, he arrived, tall, quiet, with a face that looked too much like his father's. When he entered the compound, the air changed. He looked around and said nothing for a long while. Then he turned to Mama James. "I know why you are here. My father's work can only be reversed by blood or fate. You can't pay with money." Mama James pleading, "Please help me. Whatever it takes, I'm ready." The man sighed. "You don't understand. They have crossed to a realm where life and death share one body. If we call them back, only one might survive, and even that one will never be whole again." Everyone was silent. Mama James's brothers asked, "So, what can be done?" "We can try, but if they don't want to return, nothing will bring them back." At midnight, he began the reversal. He didn't chant like his father. Instead, he prayed. Softly, steadily, burning incense and calling the names of the missing three. Peter, James, John. Each name echoed in the night air. Then the wind began to blow violently, scattering leaves everywhere. A faint light appeared, hovering near the doorway. 3 figures emerged slowly, weak, transparent, almost fading. Mama James cried out, "James, my son!" The figures turned towards her voice, but before she could move closer, the man raised his hand. "Don't touch them, they are not yet fully here." He continued praying. After a few minutes, 2 of the figures, Peter and John, began to drift away, fading into the night like smoke carried by the wind. Only one remained, James. He looked at his mother, tears in his eyes, and tried to speak. "Mama, I'm sorry. Tell others." And with that, he collapsed. Mama James ran forward, holding him as his breath returned faintly. He survived. But he never remained the same again. Quiet, humble, and forever haunted by what he saw on the other side. As for Peter, his only inheritance in the village, a small piece of land, was sold to buy 2 cows, which was sacrificed in exchange for his life. But it was even better if he had not returned. Not only was he dumb and deaf, but also bedridden. Sadly, John was not saved, for he had already crossed over. Life is not a race. Everyone's time will come, but only those who wait for their season will enjoy their harvest. Don't let desperation lead you into darkness. If you've learned something from this story, share your thoughts or questions in the comments.
Someone might find strength in your words.